Yo, I tune in, tune in, tune in, tune in, tune in. This week in car audio. Tune in, tune in, tune in, tune in. We'll be talking about bass, talking about chips, talking about rings. You ain't got them, zip your lip. You got a problem you haven't found, check your grounds. The show about to start. Tune in, 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 tune in. This week in car audio. Yeah. Tune in. This week in car audio.
Welcome to This Week in Car Audio with your host. Oh, there we are. Your host, Doug Stockton, and internet and TV sensation, Mr. Jeffrey Fernandez.
Hello.
All right. Sorry, guys. I left my phone downstairs, so I was doing this to get ready to share it. Jeffrey, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you did this weekend, sir?
Actually, went and checked out USACi World Finals down there in Lawton, Oklahoma. I think it was at the Comanche Fairgrounds. Really cool area to have an event. World Finals at least. It's been in there. I think the past few years. I was there last year, and this year was equally as cool. We got to see a bunch of world records and something I didn't see before last year was the mini SPL, the what is it, the Power
Power
Wheels
Wheels.
class. We call it the Power Wheels class. I think in that organization they call it something else. But yeah, got a chance to see that. Got a chance to see some world champions crowned as well. So which brings us to today's show,
Yep.
right?
So today's guest, if you guys haven't seen right there, oh, it's not Mike Rowe. See, that's my bad. It is Mr. Ronnie Pruitt. Let me
We'll fix
correct that right now. Hey, Ronnie, how's it going, sir?
Hey, it's going good, man. How you?
Just fine. There we go. Ronnie, backspace enter, Pruitt, two T's.
Yes, sir.
There we go. Hey, magically fixed. Anyway, hey, sir, why don't you tell us about your weekend?
Wow. Jeffrey kind of said some of the words I would say. It was really a good weekend. Saw a lot of things that I look for when I go to big shows like this. Of course, being World Finals, I am a competitor in USACi for the last 4 years. And this show, I'm putting together my posts about the weekend, and it's taking me a day. I'm really sitting. I want to think about the people that I want to thank, of course, and all those things. But aside from that, I want to make sure it has a real strong message about how well I really enjoyed it. Somebody proposed to their fiance. Carlos Rodriguez set a extreme world record or
Thief.
extreme record, 184.4.
I don't know if you know, Ronnie, but I joke around with the guys. I'm like, it's already been done, but I mean, it's still equally as cool.
No, it's
and,
awesome.
in
It
order
is
to see
definitely
that-
awesome.
Yeah.
Sure. I know the numbers have been there. I'm talking the fact that he did it and jumped out of the car with a bouquet of flowers and
Yeah.
proposed to his girl.
No,
on
so-
the side.
So,
Yeah.
do you know Gary Killian and Leslie Killian?
I know of the gentleman, but I don't know them personally. We may have met at a show per
Okay.
se, but I couldn't tell you for
So-
sure. And
so-
I heard that he had something similar happen.
He did.
At a show.
He proposed to his wife at a show, and then turned
Right.
around and Marissa O'Brien and Thomas O'Brien. Proposed to Marissa, so that's what
Oh,
we
wow.
had at that one World Finals. And then so Gary got his wife a ring that says "Champion's Wife" on it.
Wow.
So to
And
match one of his rings.
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that part. I just heard, that it had happened before. But even aside from that,
No, it's still cool.
yeah,
Oh,
very,
yeah.
very,
Oh,
very
yes.
positive vibe. In past years, we've all seen those shows that don't go as well. There's technical issues, and then people get mad, or if somebody gets this, or there's usually a little bullying point in some corner. And I'll be honest with you, I really didn't see much of that. Even when there were technical issues, the meter, the probe, power probe kept having issues. And
Okay.
the competitors were cool about it. The judges addressed it the best they could. They got it situated, and it all turned out to be good. But in other years, I would have said, "Oh boy, hold on, here comes a whirlwind." But no, I had a great weekend. My students, math teacher, if you want me to talk about that, we brought the mini SBL car out, and big first. I mean, a lot of big things happened for me this weekend, guys.
No, that's awesome. All right. So, with that being said, that's a great segue into tell us about what your real job is and how it integrated with what you were doing on the weekends.
Sure. So I am a pre-AP math teacher focusing in middle school mathematics, sixth to eighth grade. I've taught up to 11th grade. I've taught down to fourth grade. But this age range, particularly for me, just seems to be a great fit. I feel they're very moldable. They still have some issues with behavior, but not to the point of what a high schooler may have. So I have a better mentality to deal with that. But I've been teaching now, let's see, 2016. So coming up on the better part of 15 years or so. And when I began teaching, it was just kind of out of desperation, to be real honest. I found myself in college at a late age, at 26, after a major car accident. Kind of had to be retrained, and failed every math class that I took in college, and was about to drop out. I mean, just forget it. I can't do it. No more, no less. And a tutor changed the whole thing. He asked me what I like to do. I told him I like cars and hot rods and things of that nature. He related to math, and here we are 15 years later. 15 years later, I'm using applications of car audio to try to inspire young men and women to get a skill. If this is something you like, measurement, and electrician, plumber, there's so many venues that could form from this exposure, especially at this age. It's what helped me get through college. So I'm trying to transition that and maybe pay it forward, if you want to say it that way. And not to be cliche, but yeah, everyday math teacher, love what I do. Pretty dang good at it, if I say so myself. My children tried to respect me. I shouldn't call them children. I should call them students, but it is a very personal position. Yeah,
Yep.
I see these kids more than some of their family members see them. And I can say the same about my own children, see their teachers more than they see me. So I get both sides of the spectrum. My wife's a teacher as well. We feel education is just an important part of your everyday life. If anything, just to give you discipline and social interaction to help you become a better person, maybe. We all have ups and downs. And that's what I do for the daily. That's how I pay for the bread and milk. And on the weekends, I like to get really loud. I like to make lots of noise.
So here's how you can relate with me. People that have been a fan and watched this show for many years have seen my story very similar. I was in a car wreck in 2000. During that
Oh,
time
wow.
with my car wreck is when I started learning how to build boxes and whatnot. Went back to work. I had to relearn how to walk again and all that stuff because I was in a pretty severe car wreck.
Mm.
So once I learned how to walk again, I'm in construction. Construction life was not easy when you don't walk very well and you need a hip replacement, a knee replacement still coming up.
How about that?
Um, so I was like, man, I don't know I can do this the rest of my life. And me and my wife sat down and talked about it, and she goes, you keep telling me how easy school is. Why don't you send your butt back to school? So in 2012, I believe, I went back to college, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I was going to be, hey, you know what? I'm going to be a teacher because my wife's a teacher also. So she's a fifth grade
Oh, wow.
teacher. And
Okay.
as a matter of fact, I want to give a big shout out to my wife. She just got her state test results, and she was 10 percentage points, I believe, above the next closest math teacher in the entire county. So she
Wow,
had
big
that
props.
much growth in her students.
Big props. Math is
Um,
so set back right now.
yep.
It's a whole nother story. But
So
congratulations. Big
yeah,
shout
so,
out.
so I do know she was, and then like her reading scores, reading's another one that really got set back by the COVID.
Hmm.
She
Oh, yeah.
was, I believe her incoming reading scores, she's a fifth grader, and she was like a 2.6 or 2.8 or something like that. And right now we're only mid school year, right? Or just a little bit past mid. and they just got their test results back, and I think her class average was like a 6.3.
Wow.
So she's exceeded,
Congrats.
got them
Yeah.
from a lower than third grade level to partially into the sixth grade level already. So she's doing a great job with the students. So, but I digress back to what I was talking about. Is so I went to school, wasn't sure what I was gonna do. I took my first physics class, and I was like, dude, this is where it's at. Physics is the crap. I did similar to you. I went to my first when I went to go do my prerequisite or my pre-test, right, to see where my placement test for college, because I didn't go back till I was 38, I think, or 37, something like that, 39 maybe.
I think I was like 26, 28,
Yeah.
somewhere.
So I was in
that
my
range,
late 30s, right? And so I went in and I took my test, and I failed because it's a cumulative test, right? So if you fail
Mhm.
one portion, they keep giving you that portion until you pass it. Well, I got stuck on multiplying fractions. I couldn't remember to do it. You got to figure, I'm in my late 30s. It had been 20 years since I've been in high school,
Right.
multiplying fractions. I just totally forgot. Went in and saw the dean. The dean says, "No, I'm looking at your test results. You're a math idiot." I said,
Hmm.
"Really?"
Hmm. That's,
Okay. So
that's one way to say it. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I had to start all the way down at Math A. So you have to do Math A, Math B, Math C, and then you get to Math 101. So I had to
Hmm.
do 3 classes of math to get to college level math.
Wow.
So I did that. Got into my physics class. The math teachers were like, "Why are you in my class?" I go, "Well, I failed this one portion, and once somebody showed me how to do it, I know how to do it." I was taking, algebra in sixth grade. I took uh, not calculus. I took pre-calculus and geometry my sophomore year in high school. So I mean, I understand math well.
Right.
Um, and I
Just been a
figured,
minute. Just need to
yeah,
be refreshed.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. That's good.
So I went back to college and I said, hey, you know what? I'm gonna become a math teacher, or not a math, but a physics teacher, because I don't want no dumb kids. And so I figured if I'm a physics teacher, I'm not going to get any dumb kids, so I'm not going to have to worry about them wanting to do their homework or any of that stuff. Because if they made it to physics, the level of physics, they're already dedicated people.
Yeah.
And my whole goal was to have a car every school year and build it for World Finals for the following
Really.
year. That was my goal. I actually only have 2 classes left to do, and but I have dropped out. My life got very expensive,
Hmm.
and I dropped 2 classes short of getting my physics degree.
Wow.
So, but no, I totally relate with your story. I see what you
Yeah.
did. You took your
Yeah. Yeah.
students, they built the Power Wheels car. Can you talk to us
Right.
about how that all went together? Is it a school project? Is it just something you guys did extracurricular? How did that work out?
So, 2018, I go to USACi finals as a spectator. I'm not a competitor.
Hmm.
I always had little boom systems in the car growing up through high school. Try to be loud, Rocket Posse, Pyramid, Radio Shack, you name it. Uh, and I have built hot rods for the most part of my adult life. Not built them, but enjoyed them like hot rods. When
Hmm.
I sold the hot rod, my wife started getting disturbed with me. She was like, "You need a hobby. You have to do something. You need to get out of my house." We were sitting at some restaurant eating. Guy pulls in the lot, beating the doors off of something. People inside are, thinking earthquake. They're kind of looking around, and I know exactly what's going on. So I swing out the door. I look at this guy. He kind of nods. I kind of nod. I walk over. Demo show this weekend. Come check it out. That's all it took.
Hmm.
Right. So now I'm hooked in deep. I'm gonna build a vehicle. I don't know much of what's going on today, but I knew 80s, 90s, Mark, you know,
Hmm.
Orion, I knew the Cheetah van. So I got into the hobby. I start doing things. I go to USACi World Finals 2018 as a spectator. Got a
Uh-huh.
Grand Marquis that I know is going to do 60s out the trunk. That's what I knew. And they had Power Wheel class that day, and they had about 6, 7 Power Wheels show up. They had the paper mache on them, and one looked like a bull. One had like a 215 wall standing about 4 foot
Oh,
tall. The
nice.
axle, the axle was all bent down.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw right there, that's my connection. I already had the audio club started at that point, but at that point, it was more like a motivational kind of after school program for kids to come in. I bring the band to school. I show them speakers. I give them a little baby demos and, hair trick it. And, just try to give them something maybe to get interested in. But I saw that there is a structure. There's a lesson to be learned. So I got the idea started that way. Actually, about a year later, went back to school myself, got a master's degree in curriculum instruction and math so that I could write my own curriculum for the Power Wheel Build thing that I've got in my head. So I've been working on, been thinking about it. I've been reaching out to people. First year it was only a couple of kids, and then we got 3 kids. Before this year, we had 4 kids come out to finals. Their parents drove them there because this isn't just us meeting after school club. Right. It's nothing the district is supporting. It's just me, everything out of my pocket. And so this year comes, and all the COVID shut down, all the things that have happened in our world, especially in education. There's a big incentive right now for extracurricular. Get kids involved. Kids are depressed sitting in front of a screen, etc. So this year, I really pushed the club. I mean, I really got out and kind of talked to kids and showed them and brought the band 2 times a week there for a while. And that's not an easy thing to do, but I did it. And so we got 12 kids now, and boys, girls, 8th grade, 7th grade, 6th grade, the whole mix is right here. So we start building a Power Wheel. We're going to do it just like we've always done it. When finals comes, I have to talk to mom and dad, see if they can take a day. And met a lady through the district by incident, just happened to be at a training. This lady heard me talking about the club, and she was like, can you tell me more about it, blah, 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 blah. Long story pulled short, our district now recognizes the club. We have a line code. They pay for our transportation, got a bus, school bus. The bus, everybody, it's a field trip. Had to do a field trip request form, had to do parental permission slips, chaperone acknowledgement forms, the medical history, the whole thing. It's official school field trip competition, if you will. Now, was this truly a competition? No, this was about kids having fun, exposing them to the sport. Everybody won. And it's not we give trophy to everybody. They all deserve something for being there today. And that's how it's progressed. And now that this has happened this year, I told you when you asked me if I had a good weekend, this is something I've been planning, plotting, streaming, trying to network, trying to make happen for a couple of years, but life gets in the way and you get said no to many, many, many times. And yes, moments of discouragement would happen and we just go back to normal. But when this opportunity came up, I jumped all over it. And I really want this to develop. I've got more to say about it if you want to hear about it, but I don't want to take over your whole podcast.
No, just so you know, I feel that your path and my path are absolute parallels, right? We actually did a deal. They actually wrote us up about it in, I believe it was Performance Auto Sound magazine, back in, I think, 2009-ish. And what we did is we had 2 high schools put together teams, come out to an event, and at the event, I announced what the car was supposed to be designed to do. So they brought their own vehicles. They had no idea what the vehicle was supposed to do, and they literally built them in the parking lot. And then we ended the competition with them going head to head against each other. So it was after Base Race came out. It was like right when Base Race started. So I'm not sure what year that happened, but ultimately I felt that the most fair competition, because one was a sedan 4-door and one was a van, the most fair competition was going to be a Base Race. And I will tell you, Rockford Fosgate jumped right on board. They provide us with a 4-gauge wiring kit, a 1200-watt amp, 2 12-inch woofers, and said, here you go, build something. And the kids showed up with their own, each school showed up with their own wood. And Jay's Alarms put it on down in Fresno. We did it right there at the fairgrounds. We taped off the area, and kids right there building boxes right there in the lanes. And, because you really only had about 4 hours to build the car, 3.5 hours. So you had to build whatever you can build in 3.5 hours, put together, and compete. So, like I said, it does really seem that, you and I are running parallel courses in different parts of the country.
I can add to that substantially. I am a believer in things that we can't explain, and I don't know how to say that any differently. I just think that there are things in this world that come about, connections, networks that you make that you never intended to make. I was a not very good person for a long part of my life when I was young. Came home from the Army, very frustrated, very, very different. And meeting certain people in my life kind of changed my direction. So when you tell me these things that we're seeing in common, I'm reading through everything you're saying. The thing that I mentioned when I said I could talk more about it if you like, to give you a quick synopsis, this year at Slimology, I went on a quest. Now, I know of a lot of people in the industry. I have not met all of those people in the industry. I don't care what other people say about people. I want to meet them for myself, have discussions, find out who they are. If they're a bad taste of character, I'm sure I may taste that and make my choice to do whatever. But I went on a mission. You know, I went and I sat with many people. I don't know if I want to throw out all their names, but you know, because they may say I don't remember that guy, but you know, Travis Young and I have had a little bit of an ongoing friendship socially and at shows about his company.
T.W.I.C.A Power.
Yeah, T.W.I.C.A Power. We ran T.W.I.C.A Power in our Mini, a 45 amp hour that I've had forever, little green box, you know, cell. And but we sat down and had a discussion about the details of what I'm planning and would like to see eventually, which is a competition between schools, between different area schools that set up and have the same perimeters. And I'm in D.I.S.C. in Dallas, Texas, and we are one of the largest school districts in the United States. Not the largest, but we're right there up in the top 5, I'm going to say. And we have programs that are similar. We have robotics programs and things of that nature.
What you got there? So Doug's showing us a picture on his phone of
you see that right there in the middle of the ring?
I'm half
blind. Oh, that's Travis right there.
Oh, Travis.
Right there.
I see the stash.
Yeah, you definitely know him by the stash, right?
Yeah.
But see, there's Travis there and all the other guys.
When I told him about the things that I've got planned and things like instantly, like you said with Rocker, he goes, "We're in. You let me know how many you need. We got your units. I love to see it happen." I talked with Jacob over at Sundown for just a brief time. One of the only times that I've actually talked to him more than a minute and just gave him my quick spill, said, in the future, once I have my ducks in a row, I'm going to want you to remember who I am. That's basically all I said. And told him what the plan was. And he was like, absolutely, it's what I'm about. I'm that kind of guy. And from what I hear from other people, it sounds like he is that kind of guy. And I want to hope to hold him to it. Kip over at Kicker has a great relationship with him. You know, met him at Audible Carnage, Houston, 2-3 years ago, and won a raffle, the 2400 watt Bluetooth amp they had. We put that on the Power Wheel that year. And that started our relationship with that. But long story short, and Crossfire, I can't forget Crossfire. You know, they pretty much sponsored everything on this vehicle, the sub, the amp, testing location. I came up to the shop, helped me cut some wood with the table saw. But it's going to take that kind of commitment from some people in the industry, I feel, to really take this to that next level. I can buy stuff all day or have spare subs and speakers, and we can blow them up, and we can reverse the polarity to see the difference of, you know, whatever. But I really am looking for the structured program where it's outlined, it's detailed, everybody knows the rules, everybody follows the same guidance, and who can do it the best, who can build the box right, who can get the tuning right. And my kids are middle school, so they are not yet on that level of technicality, but they will be if they continue to stay with me. And then when they go into high school, they find other programs. It's an endless link of what could be. And I'm just trying to help develop that as much as I can everywhere.
Hey, Ronnie, so let's talk about the car. What kind of car is it? I mean, what is it? Does it look like?
The Power Wheel?
To it? Yeah, the Power Wheel.
Yeah, the Power Wheel. Well, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not on the phone, like Doug just trying to show.
Well, I did forget to mention this to you. So ultimately, we put this as a audio podcast. So, I mean, you can put it on the
Understood.
phone, but we'll have to describe it too, like Jeffrey was
Oh, that's
doing for the
fine.
photo.
No,
So,
that's fine. I can describe it pretty well.
yeah.
So it was an F-150
Mhm.
pickup truck Power Wheel. It was the original form of it. The first thing that we did is I talked to the students about what we wanted to look like, what kind of design, uh, explaining to them that I have seen Power Wheels with a 4-foot sub box, just basically set into the middle
I've
of the
seen those.
vehicle, with a bunch of amps and a bunch of mids and highs and that. I gave the suggestion of let's build this as a scale model vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
So the decals that we put on the vehicle are scaled to proportion. And of course, the math lesson was implied here, but we decided to build it to scale. So we kept everything of the enclosure behind the physical B pillar of the vehicle. We kept it below the window line surface of what would be the roof. And we actually did seal the top like a tank. So there was a structured roof box, B pillar, kick, deadened doors. Even the hood decal was to scale to look appropriate, not a big one that you just stuck across the top of the hood. So it's a fourth order band pass basically.
Wow.
Roughly 0.58 sealed to 0.87 ish open before displacement on the sub. So roughly about 3/4, 4 to 3, however you want to look at it. The motor, the assembly of the sub was built by Roger himself. He put it together. I can't give you all the extreme details of it, but if I'm correct on some of this, it's a V2 C7 motor. He did the custom drop in himself. Nice thread spider pack on it, the tinsel leaves, and really, really prettied it up, made it nice for us. The amp, a 2500D monoblock Crossfire prototype amp that they had put out. It was a very small blueprint, had a nice little plexiglass back on it. We didn't get to display that or anything, but we wired it at half ohm with the JY 45 lithium, charged it to about 14.3, and SBL Cartel knob on a Walmart head unit, dual Walmart. We had a Kenwood Exelon, nice older head unit that I had for a while. We were using and had a problem with it, and burned it up. So trashed that, and last minute Walmart $62 off the shelf, and it does actually all right.
You say it was a Pioneer?
No, it's a
dual.
a dual.
Yeah,
dual.
Okay.
my last dual I bought from Walmart was $12. So, and it's
I
in my
was
boat.
looking for that. I was looking for that package. I saw some float around about a head unit with a couple of 6x9s for like $50.
Yep.
So that's why I looked
Perfect.
initially. But sky high wire, one on.
I know some vehicles that don't even have that type of great equipment in their own cars. So for you guys to put that all in a little tiny Power Wheels, I think that's awesome. And
We use
when
the
you were
shrink
talking about
wraps,
the
coordinated.
battery and the box, it's like, man.
So tell us
anybody want to go check it out.
Yeah. So tell us about the rules for that, because not everybody may know what the
Sure.
Power Wheels
Sure.
rules are. So just like general synopsis of the rules,
Okay, so
mic placement, stuff like that.
Yeah, two basic classes, and actually you wouldn't believe the number of people that asked me that same question this weekend. Seeing that they built the whole vehicle right there. It took them about 45 minutes to put it all back together. We had to disassemble the entire vehicle to get it out of the classroom.
Right.
To get it out of the classroom, you have to turn the vehicle sideways to get it through my classroom door. And we're not going to leave a lithium battery and that amp. And I mean, it was about 300 pounds when you got finished with it. One man picking it up was not an easy task, but it could be done. Right. So the basic setup is this. There's two classes. There's street class and there's extreme. Street class, you would take a standard Power Wheel off the shelf, put a speaker box and or enclosure that you built basically behind the seat where the back seat would be. Amplifier, 1,500 watts or less. You can put 2-door speakers, 6.5 or smaller, inside on the door, but you can't use any kind of pod. You need to cut the door, trim the door, and place them on the door. Okay. And that's it. That's the street class. Extreme class, similar rules, except you must maintain the enclosure port of the enclosure minimum 10 inches from the windshield. And how I read it, most windshields have a curve, so they have a further center point than then side point where the
Mhm.
A pillar would be. So from that A pillar would be my assumption on that. From that A pillar roof line, 10 inches, you have to keep the port no closer than 10 inches. We kept it behind the B pillar. We were about 14, 15 inches. Definitely moving it up would have increased the output, more like a port score, if you want to call it that.
Right.
And that's another thing we wanted to kind of combat. We hear a lot of, it's a port war.
Mhm.
Well, yes, it is. I mean, let's be honest about what it is. But in the same relevance, we built it to scale. We stayed behind the B pillar. We followed basic USACi guidelines for what I do in Modern Limited. Everything, the dash has to stay intact. The factory floor has to stay intact. Doesn't mean you can't cover it. You can put deadener on it. You can do whatever, but you can't cut the dash out, cut the floor out, build a swoop box like a boat bottom, and then put a lid on it. Basically, 2,500 watt or less rated amplifier, and anything else go as wild as you want is basically what the rule says. Go as crazy as you want. Number one rule though that they have in both classes, you got to have fun. This is not just about competition. It's about getting these kids exposed, letting them see that there is fun. Music relates to 99% of the world. I mean, let's just say it for what it is. There may be somebody out there that doesn't like music, but I doubt it. So how do you involve that to make the kids have fun? And that's the basic, synopsis of what the difference is for USACi. I'm not sure about your class on how they do it in BB Drag. I have talked with Billy Temple over at Base Wars. They've reached out to me about promoting their stuff down here in Texas. They have a baby boomer class, and in basic form, there really is no rule. It's show up, build it as crazy wild as you want, make it as loud as you possibly can. Let's just have fun. Yeah. And I don't know how it's judged or if it's even judged at all.
Yes.
But,
so in DB Drag, it's essentially you have to be 50 inches from the microphone. The microphone hangs 8 foot off the ground. And then you build whatever you can and to be as loud as you can. And they're full spectrum, though. Yeah, it's full spectrum, right? So that means it's not just a subwoofer enclosure. It's got to be everything. And you play music for 60 seconds, I think it is.
Wow.
And so you play music for 60 seconds. And so you have your RTA score, your peak SPL score. And no, it's not peak SPL. It's average SPL, right? Yes, it's your average SPL across all frequencies. That's your RTA score. And then it's your peak SPL number. You add those two together, divide it by 2, and that becomes your composite
overall
score. And that's your score that you either win or lose by.
Wow, I like that. I mean, I have no knowledge of how it worked in your organization. I was hoping we were going to get to talk about that. And to be real straight, I wanted to just throw it out there. Doug, I've heard your name, all over the community since I've been in it, but I've never met you.
Usually
no,
badly.
Not at all. Actually, not even in any kind of direct relevance. I just knew you were a longtime judge, DB Drag. That's it. So when I got asked to come on, I was trying to look around and go, who, do I need to know more? And look at us, man. It's like we have this very similar pattern. And so that's, I don't know, just very neat to me. I like the idea of like-minded people being able to sit down and discuss topics. And I think that's how you solve a lot of problems.
You do.
When you find people that can sit down and listen and have that open thought process and get things done.
Yep. So with that being said, I mean, I do know a DB Drag judge in your general area that could at any time offer that class at every single one of his shows he does every month.
I wonder who that could. I mean, I've heard of a guy, some kind of champion, some guy. Yeah.
So
it's easy for us to say exactly what we're saying right now. I know a guy can do this, and we can get you an amp. Words only go so far.
Yeah.
And I say that in the most respectful way. I had people come up to me this weekend. Hey, we're out of, I forget the place, an enclosure shop. Big guy come up to me, big old huge, man, mad respect, man. We love what you're doing. You let me know anytime. What do you need? We'll get your amps. We'll get you da. I was like, let's connect right now. Let's get your information. I don't have time to discuss all the detail, but absolutely. Now, if the guy comes through on what he says to be true, then then he is the man of his word. But I've had that same thing happen. And I'm like, oh, well, right now I got these things going. And, well, you
Yeah.
know what? Let's do this. And that's okay. And like I said, I've been told no way more times than I've been told yes. But
Yes, sir.
it's when the talking stops and the work starts. And I feel like this weekend the work really started for this. I've got a little bit of pull in my district. I have a few more people that I'm still set to meet with to how we can make this not just a weekend thing. Throughout the school year, have a couple little meets, have the schools come together, see how things are going, play it by ear, and then let it develop to where it's just like the robotics program. They got qualifiers.
Exactly.
They got to go, they got to go to, and our robotics team internationally recognized. They were second in the world. No joke. Not bragging or boasting, but that's huge to throw down on a resume when you're applying for a Magna High School or you're trying to get into a college program. So opportunity exists with this application. We just need the right mind to get together and put it right. So I'm reaching out to anybody who'll listen.
Do you attend Jeffrey's shows?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Jeffrey, yeah.
So all you got to do, and I promise you, Jeffrey will take care of this. And Jeffrey, if you need the meter, need the sensor, all you got to do is call me up. I'll throw it in the mail for you.
I have an RTA.
Oh, okay. So all you need to do is let Jeffrey know that you're gonna attend the show, and I'm sure he'd be love to set it up for you.
Yeah, I think
and if he needs some
have
help,
to put some mids and highs on that.
You would have to have mids and highs,
wheels,
otherwise your score will be very poor.
Right. We had those. We did have. If Jeffrey, you remember we were talking about that 4 6x9 enclosure that's on the backside.
Right.
Yeah. The intention was there. However, timing, getting ready for finals, the kids' work time.
Gotcha.
I did not want to be the one that had to do that. When the kids come to work for me, or not work, but when we're doing the club, this is about them taking a little bit of responsibility.
Some child labor.
Stuff
them in the port. Hey, get back there and wire those subs.
Yeah. Pull it out. It only bleed for a minute. You don't
That's
worry
right.
Oh, no.
But no, in all honesty, yeah, I get it. No, mids and highs. We had a couple of 6x9s, little mock-up thing we were going to do. Just time got away, and actually they were having so much dang fun. I didn't want to go, okay, back over to the shop. Let's get the speakers on. And I do have a little bit of a directness with them and running the club. I am a coach by heart. I coached football for 15 years. I've had some state championships underneath me, and discipline in the Army came hand in hand. When I came home from that. But not to the point of being disrespectful or to ask somebody to do something that I would not do my dang self, But no, they were having so much fun. We just let them go and just let them have fun for the rest of the show.
We'll talk more after the show.
We can definitely talk more about it. Yeah.
Hey, just so you know, in the chat over here, we got Kyle and Chris, Kyle Rhodes and his son Chris Rhodes. We had them on the show. I don't know, just about a month ago. And we actually talked to them about their Power Wheels, and their son.
That's my teammate.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
that's why he was supporting you.
Crossfire member, yeah, he's a Crossfire member. Official, got the shirt and everything.
Yeah, so I mean, him and his son had built the car together and spent time together, and that was awesome. And we actually did a whole show just about the two of them doing their thing together. His son has now moved on from wanting to do that. We had our world finals on the West Coast for DB drag, and he saw the mini drag cars, the mini rails, and he goes, "Daddy, I want to do that."
I want to do that. I want to do that myself. I don't blame the boy.
Yeah. So
that's part of it too. Some of the kids that come into my club, they'll come in as a 6th grader and they'll hang out for a while, and they're like, "Mister," and when they see we're doing calculation, we're finding volume. We're measuring twice, 3 times, 4 times. It does get, if they're not into it, they're not into it. And I'm not going to force someone to, have that. But the ones that do stay with me the whole time. My boys, Diego and Jairo, the 2 bigger kids that were there. Jeffrey knows what I'm talking about. Large 8th grade boys. Large 8th
they were
grade
parents.
You are in Texas. There's some large folk in Texas.
They've been with the program for 3 years, and I'm sure not many people know this, but they ran the whole club. I kind of just stayed back out of the way. Once we got there, they knew what we had to do. We talked about it before we came. They had all the tools they needed. We laid out everything right. everything red and black labeled with shrink, and there's no incidental, crossings of wires. And I made sure the battery was all secure and, the safety protocol. But they told the other kids what to do. They were delegating authority, get these decals and y'all work on this. And that shows me that I'm hoping and pray that they'll keep this mentality. And if it's not in car audio, that's fine.
Yep.
But they had a leadership role. They took responsibility. Right. And that's something that, bless me, I'm saying kids don't have that today.
Yep.
And I know they said it about me when I was a kid too. I know the whole synopsis of your kids are bad and our kids were bad and those kids. Yep. But let's be real frank with the technology and the development of our world and how things have changed, the access, there is a difference in there. And so I'm hoping it installs something.
Yep.
Yeah, you know what? I think it goes further than just teaching them the specifics because I've actually taught jujitsu. I mean, I teach jujitsu to kids as well as adults, and just being a part of that, it's like teaching them discipline, but not only for them to do well on the mats or in tournaments and stuff like that, but just in life, you're going to grow up being disciplined, and you're not gonna stray away from your path, and I understand it totally.
Absolutely.
And once again, I've been coaching high school basketball and high school softball, and I will tell you 100%, my coaching philosophy is I'm not coaching players, I'm coaching future coaches. I need every one of you guys to be a leader, because in 10 years and 15 years, I don't want to hear about how you used to play basketball. I want to hear about, I'm coaching this team now, coach. You got to see what's going on. That's what I want to hear from my students in 10, 20, 15, whatever, right? I tell them straight from the beginning is, I'm coaching coaches. I don't need idiots. I can go get an idiot. I need smart people. I need people that are willing to lead and do what it takes to be better and bring the people around them up with them. Because nobody elevates to the top by themselves, right?
Oh, amen.
They need to bring, and the higher you go, the more people you build under you to help build you up, the stronger you're going to be at the top. So it is a little selfish, but at the same time, you're bringing people along with you. That's right.
It's purposeful. It has a drive. Something that I say in the club all the time, and this isn't just a club, this is my classroom, the math classroom, is that it's success through failure. So when something happens wrong, you don't just take it as I'm no good at this. You take it as, where did I go wrong? How do I fix that? What do I do next? So when they measure something wrong, I will cut it wrong if it's too big. I won't cut it too short because then we waste the wood. But if it's too big, I will intentionally. Okay, you got it. Okay, here we go. We'll cut it off. We'll go put the sealed side. When we were making the sealed part, we had the measurements, and we do cardboard template of the entire enclosure first to make sure that we have the right size. We have the angles are right. Do we need the 45, anything, etc. And they measured it, so we cut it. And when they put it up there, Mister, you cut it wrong. I kind of, I'm not sure how that happens. What do you mean I cut it wrong? What measurement should I have cut? And they look again. They say, you should have cut this. Well, grab that tape measure. I'm pretty sure. And then when I put it down there, the light is shining. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. But it's all about perspective. You can go in and see a classroom full of, oh my God, I can't believe that. Or you can go in and say, how do I get to them? How do I get their attention, get their focus? Two things every kid, in my own opinion, in the classroom, in the house, you need discipline, you need structure. But it has to be in the form that's acceptable to them, and you can distribute it the right way. Going and do what I say because I said did not work for me in my first years of teaching. Thought I was a big man, and I'm like, hey, do it. Where's your homework? Man, out the window. Forget it. You have lost them day one. And when I had my son, he came home one day, almost in tears. I think he was maybe a fourth grade, third grade, young. And he was upset and he was crying. What is wrong? What happened? Teacher said I was dumb, or I can't remember the exact term. Boy, I tell you, as a parent and as a teacher, I'm about to go tell this man how he is wrong and he cannot talk to my. But I paused and I realized I think I might be that same kind of teacher. That I was the one that was trying to yell and try to be stout and not caring about the feeling, the emotion that child might feel. I'm just seeing them as an entity. I wasn't looking at them as a person. This is my job. I got to do this. You're messing up my job. And it brought a light to me. And when I saw that light shine, changed my perspective. It wasn't overnight, but eventually and gradually. And when I said it earlier that I love what I do and I think I'm pretty damn good at it, I've got documentation. I've got proof. It's not a just me talking. I've got kids that have graduated college and they're doing good things. They reach back out to me. I've had some come up here just a couple of weeks ago, and they look like a grown man, and I don't know who they are. Hey, Mr. Pruitt. South Oak Cliff High School here in Dallas just won the state championship. One of my prior students played football there, won the state championship with this, and came up to the school to come see his previous middle school teachers to say hello before he graduated. And that's the kind of school we are. Now, I'll tell you, before I worked where I work, and this is a Dallas Environmental Science Academy, we are a magnet program, top-rated magnet school in Texas, 7 out of 7 distinctions, 3 years in a row, Secretary of Education, blue ribbon, all the blah, blah, blah. The COVID year has changed all that. Mm-hmm. There are kids that have gaps so big that the discipline is just pouring out of them because they know they don't know the content. So the only thing they can do is react.
Right.
And those first years, though, when I did teach, it was rough schools, South Oak Cliff High School, over in that area. And you just got to find a way to connect. And if you can't do that, then you might want to consider your role in education. It's not just about the book. Like Jeffrey said, it is not what's between those covers. It's about how can I influence this human to continue our world in a positive way. I don't know what that way might be. I'm not going to influence them one way or the other, but let's hope that they continue and not destroy and hurt it like so many things are doing right now.
So
I hope that's not related.
Go ahead, Jeffrey.
Oh, I was going to say, let's, can we transition now to your vehicle?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Okay. I almost feel bad. We haven't even talked about him yet. So
talk about that big old car you got back there behind you and what you did this weekend. How'd you do?
Yeah.
Sure thing, man. I mentioned earlier my first USACi final came in strong with a Marquise, man. I'm gonna do a trunk build. I'm gonna hair trick, and I'm gonna have a 5K, and I'm not gonna run fuses. And I had no idea at that time. But at that show, Yui and Travis owned this vehicle. J.Y. Power owned this vehicle, and I saw it demoing, rip that door off the hinge literally as I was standing there, shattering windshield. People lined up to sit in that vehicle. And I was next in line and couldn't get a demo because it got hurt. Something happened. They popped the silver spur. Yui was in it, and he was banging like hell. I'm hurting, choking, trying to breathe. And he goes, nah, something's not right. He just like instantly turned it down. No, stop, and stopped it. I didn't hear nothing but my heart in my chest. But I saw the van for the first time there. Had a big smiley face, spray painted on the side of the door. At that show, after that show, Pablo Castillo bought the vehicle from you and Travis at that show. He took it, he painted it the blue and silver that you see. He did a couple of different builds in it, but the most notorious build I think that he had in it, 14 Nightshade 12s. I can't tell you how many Twisted Sound. I think it was might have been the 9K or the 8K, the Twisted Sound. I don't remember which amp it was, but it had like one per coil or one per sub. It was stupid retarded, 63, 64-ish, if I'm right, ripping doors off, low frequency, beat up. Then he put it for sale the next year. At the time, I had already discovered that a trunk build in Marquise is not going to get the attention that I was looking for. But it was a great car. I actually kept the car. The car was very dependable, very good car. So I went on the hunt for an audio vehicle. And right about that time, I saw that he had posted a vehicle for sale. The financial situation was kind of lean at the moment. Had a square body 85 that I was wanting to build and blow through and do all that. But when I saw the van come up for sale, I'd had a decent talk with Pablo a few times at shows. Felt like he was a pretty respected guy in the industry. He's loud as hell, and maybe I can do something. And we worked it out. We got the vehicle, drove to Alice, Texas, 8 hours from where I am here in Dallas. Left at midnight, got there at 8 a.m., did the exchange, and drove it straight back and got back home, all in one fell trip. Had a friend take me and follow me back. Vehicle was pretty rough, actually, rougher than I thought. But Pablo was true to his word. It did run and drive well for the price and the negotiation that we worked. done deal. I should have trailered the van to the house. Rear suspension was completely broken.
Oh, no.
The leaf springs were made of fiberglass, so they were like bamboo. Not that factory fiberglass. Who would know?
Okay.
But they were like bamboo down, slammed on the front. They had cut the front springs to drop the front end, and it was, I mean, it looked great. A big old Astro van sitting on the ground thing there, but it was a stock suspension, and it was bad. The steering column was falling out of it from all the just.
So
beating.
you had to obviously fix all that.
Yeah,
and then,
I've done all
right?
that. I've replaced about everything on the vehicle. It's completely bone stock inside from the cabin forward, of course, for the class. It's got a 4.3 motor with only 87,000 miles on it. Rear Base Mafia people owned it before Travis and Yui. Travis and Yui owned it. Pablo owned it, and now I own it. So 4 of the past owners were all big audio builds, and it's only got 80-something thousand miles on it. So you do the math there. This thing has not really ever been a driver. It's mostly been an audio vehicle.
Trailer Queen audio.
Trailer Queen, right? So after I've got it up to par, legal, street drivable, did all the stitch work, all that. When I got it, had just a flat wall 418 that Pablo chunked in it to sell it. Not bad design. Put some DC level 4 18s on a SQ 4500 first setup. About 4 or 5 AGM batteries in the back. I don't recall it, C&D or some brand that I wasn't familiar with from the local battery shop. 1 gauge wire, single alternator. I think it was maybe a Stinger, not a Stinger.
Singer.
Singer. I say Stinger. I got a buddy who works for Stinger
yes.
amp.
I think he's in the chat right now too.
Yeah, who is that?
Stinger guy Mel.
Hey Mel, what's up? That's what I was gonna say. My buddy, my teammate Mel, is part of Stinger, and that's why it was in my mind. But we set it up like that. The very first system that was in it, that was 2018 or 19 year, went to USACi finals, ran novice 3 to 6K, had a single SQ 4500 amp wired at a half on all 4 subs, and did a 158 and change. We got second place that year. The first year competing, got second place in novice 3-6K. Scott Jones came behind us and threw down a flat 60 out of his blow through and put me out of the running. And we're still, talking about that to this day. But that was the first year. After that,
by the way, this is USACi, so it's driver door open, window open, door in the kick, right?
Kick.
Or Mike in the kick.
Mike, yeah.
Right, absolutely. Outlaw, door open, window down if you want it. I mean, your preference.
Yep.
I keep window up, door open, seat positioning, all the other stuff is vital for the number to be where we want it to be.
Right.
And but it progressed from there. After the DCs, actually a buddy of mine, a long time ago, I hadn't seen him forever, hit me up and said, "Hey man, you have some DC level 4s, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah, I got them in the van." He goes, "I want those level 4s," and I was like, "Well, I wasn't really looking to sell them, but what are you thinking?" He said, "I will trade you. I've got a barter for you." I said, "Well, what do you got?" He said, "I'll trade you 2 NX V4 18 Crossfire V4 18. At the time, being very novice, not really knowing, I also saw Big Booty Judy and these monster, Daniel Allen had these in his van, and they were backup subs from a huge build that I knew, never used, still in the box. So I'm thinking, okay, I know there's only 2 of those, and I've got 4 holes. So I'm gonna have to, buy more subs. No big deal. I'll just go buy more subs. I did not realize how difficult it was going to be to find V4s in decent condition in my area. Actually ended up driving to northern Arkansas in the rain in the middle of the night with my brother as a protege to escort to buy another pair of V4s so I would have all 4. Yeah. And ran all 4 V4s. Initially, the plan was to put 4 SQ 4500s in there, 1 on each one. But before that became, to fruition, got with Crossfire, threw a 16K off. 1 single 16K wired at a half on 4 V4. Still same factory, same wall that was in there, no adjustments to nothing. Big, huge round over on the port, tuning around 55, 54. But then my relationship with Crossfire grew and my exposure to the audio community. I started going to shows across state. Dragon Main,
Mhm.
you know, all these huge shows, meeting people at CES like Brent Levitt. I don't know if I said his name right. Brent, the
Brent.
Rocket
Yeah, Brent
Posse,
Levitt.
Yeah.
Yep.
Levitt. I don't know if I
Yeah.
said his name
I
right.
know.
We
I know.
had a discussion for an hour and a half, just about Astro Vans in general.
He's a good dude.
So, you know, getting to know people like that, getting to meet people like that. Kip, you know, at Carnage that year, we sat and we chatted for a good bit. And some of the first words out of my mouth was, I'm a math teacher and I've got this audio math club program that I'm trying to get started. That was years ago. And now Kip and I see each other. And he's like, man, keep it, keep going.
Yeah.
He's seeing the progression.
Mhm.
There may be something there one day, but again, my ducks are not lined up enough yet to go to these people with anything substantial, but it will. But so we built it with the V4s. We put the 16K in it. Started getting more knowledge. Met people like Luke Kinsley, great friend of mine, teammate of mine, who has taught me tons of audio knowledge and testing with Roger. Progressed from there. That was the second year we did Novice Unlimited with the V4s. We did a 63 something and took the Novice Unlimited championship that year at USACi.
Nice.
And that got the real fire burning. You know, I really started getting into the industry. I mentioned to Doug earlier, and I think Jeffrey and I have had this conversation. Around that time, though, as I started gaining, I guess maybe a little influence or just connecting with a lot of people, the hate kind of started to pour through here and there, and it did frustrate me. And we've all said it. We've all had that moment. We're about to ditch the subs and sell the car and buy the wife something pretty and go on vacation. But it was very short lived. But there was that moment where I had that feeling. And when people tell me that now, teammates come to me or something and say that, I respect it and I get it. But I still try to talk them out of it. You know, be committed and don't let a stranger change your perspective on what you want to do, what you want to do.
Yep.
So we did it that year. We did a 53 something, Novice Unlimited. Last season before this one, we had upgraded it once again. We got rid of the V4s. We went with the V1 Neos. We ripped everything out of the van, basically, minus the trim sides and the back. We shrunk the wall. We flattened the roof. We rebaffled, 8-layer birch the baffle, counter sunk them in and invert mount on the back. We tested both. We tested front. We tested back. Back gained us about 1.5, so we kept them on the back. And no reason we wouldn't. We put two 16Ks in at that time, one per pair. And at that time, they were at half ohm each. And that year we went to finals. Last year we did a 67.2 frequency increase from 54, 55, 61, 62 last year. And right now, this year, we came back again, 2021 season. We have 4 16Ks now. So it's that progressive involvement in what's going on. But we have a lot of tuning to do on the 4. But basically, we did a 6798 this weekend.
And you ended up winning?
We did end up winning. There was a great guy out of Louisiana area, Bobby Mansfield. You may be familiar with his name. One of his guys on his South team has a beautiful single cab truck, blow through, camper shell, cat eye, 8 U18s on 4 7500s, ton of lithium. You know, Bobby Mansfield, you got to have lithium. And he's a hitter. I mean, he's a serious hitter. And I've seen some numbers he put up at some shows out of Scraping, so I knew he was very close to where we were, if not above. And unfortunately, he had some problems. They had something with a head unit, or they were doing street beat also, a street beat free run. And Bobby told me straight away they've seen 66s on music in that vehicle. And I'm just like, man, I've got my hands full, you know. Yeah. I may have to really go into all 4 of these amps to see if I can't get something out of it, or send it all the way out, you know, one way or the other. But it didn't come to that. Like I said, unfortunately, he had problems, and he did do well in street beat. He got his ring in street beat, so that's the positive for him. They lost the windshield, of course, going ham on it. Yeah, and so, yeah, we were able to pick up the win, and very happy about it. Honest man talking to him, a little disappointed that I didn't do a little better number. We've seen better numbers in the garage testing. But
not the garage score.
You know what I mean? But when we changed to the 4 amps, it was very recent. We
Yeah.
just recently decided to go
Right.
with the 4. So instead of having time to recone, we would like to recone down to 0.35, a little above a half, but not quite at, or a little below a half, but not quite at a quarter. So
Point
that
three
we,
threes.
yeah,
Ooh.
we're
Might have heard
seeing,
those before.
what was it?
Yeah,
At quarter
get you
ohm,
some
we were getting
smoke
about
there.
22K, per amp when we were wired at a quarter, and at a half, if I recall correctly, when I had the single amp and a half, around
Yeah.
16K. So the subs are seeing 11K each and loving it. Not hurt at all. 67s, high 67s all day on 11K ish per sub, but
What
more
subs were
testing.
you running?
The subs are the V1 Neos,
Neos.
the 18s.
Crossfires, right? Or
Yeah.
Crossfire, yeah, Crossfire,
oh,
right
okay,
here in
Crossfire.
Grapevine, Texas. Yeah,
Yeah.
everything in the car is
Nice.
Crossfire. There's nothing that's not Crossfire. The only thing that's not Crossfire is the wire. The battery C-Max, we have 180 amp hour audio loop. Shout out Luke Kinsley, my boy. He built my C-Max for me. Does a lot of C-Max for a lot of people in this area. 180 amp hour. We thought about doubling over that, or at least throwing another 45 on it to see what the return would be on the batteries.
Yeah.
But to be honest, we don't see really any drop. Even
Right.
when we go full tilt on the run, it recovers quickly. And at the moment, we're gonna stick with the 180 amp, but there may be room for a little more underneath there if it's needed. If we see a test data that says that, but and a math teacher, I was going to mention this. Being a math teacher, the data-driven side of this is my addiction. The bass and the feeling of funk and jamming your favorite song and people going, "Ooh, look at him coming down the road." That's the part of the machismo. The man side of me loves that.
Yep.
But it's the data, the testing,
Yep.
the failure. Oh, the failure. It kills you, but you learn from
drives you.
failure.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
like
let
I
me
said,
ask you, do you have a little black book? I call it. I have a little black book of my testing
that one,
scores, and once
little
you get to
black
that level,
book.
man, it's like you got to
Like I said, we had
Little
Scotty
black
Owens
book.
on here. He had a stack of
yeah,
books like this.
Right.
yes.
Well,
You know.
I'm not a book man. I'm a spreadsheet man.
Oh,
Oh,
there you go.
I spreadsheet everything.
Bring it
I
to the
I
21st
spreadsheet
century.
my budget. I
So,
spreadsheet my home. I know my daily allotment of
so
spending
do you have
that
the
we have
term
in the
lab?
house.
Do you have the term lab?
I don't have a term
Okay.
lab at the
So
moment. I
if
have an older lab,
okay.
but my buddy, I have access to a
So,
term
so if
lab
you
all the
have a
time.
term lab, you could start using the Winner's Edge, and that
Yeah.
actually puts everything out into spreadsheet form for you.
Jeffrey
So,
and I
That'd
just
be
talked
perfect.
about this recently, didn't
okay,
we?
cool.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that might
I
be a
think we had
great
a
thing for
discussion.
you. I mean, especially if that's the direction you want to go. The
Yeah.
Winner's Edge may be a awesome option for you. Hey, Jeffrey, we're running up on the hour.
Mhm.
Or we're well past the hour already. Do you want to hit him with our question? I forgot to tell him what the question was at the end, but go ahead and hit him with the
Oh,
final question real
okay.
quick, and then we'll wrap
This
this
All
is a
up.
right. Well,
test. This is a test.
It
this is
is.
a test. So you are a teacher, right? It's open book. No. So basically, we ask this question to all of our guests.
Okay.
Basically, what is your definition of a bass head?
Definition of a bass head. Well,
Mm-hmm. We've all heard the
um,
term.
okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, we've heard the term. On the spot drop question. I know we're running out of time, so I won't procrastinate on what I'm trying to say. But in my first reaction, I would say music inspired man. When I hear bass, it is SPL driven for me now, but it all
Mm-hmm.
started with Run DMC and Peter Piper and Magic Mike, beating the block down. It wasn't probably a very disrespectful thing to do at that age. We didn't care what neighborhood we drove through, and I don't feel that way now. But it was a persona. It was a low rider bouncing up at the hop, and you seen him coming. The hot rider down gearing when he pulls through the tunnel just to go, ah, and just to hit it as loud as he can.
Yeah.
That's to me, for me right now. That would have been my first definition of a bass head.
That's awesome.
Not stereotypical of, dude, let's go. I don't know. I've heard a few people describe it differently, but for me, it's the music-driven
The music.
force behind a subwoofer. You can listen to a song in different formats, but if you take the bass out of any certain song, it will sound different.
It
You
will.
add drums. There's a drummer on TikTok. Guy's got a beard. He's amazing. Can't think of his name, but he'll take any song and he will throw the hardest double bass and clack, 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 and it does. It increases, and the experience is better. So I would lean something in that direction. That it's a music based, inspiring feeling that you have to have that bottom line. That 20 hertz notes. Some people are all about the what to do at 20. I'm kind of like the 35 range myself. 33 is
35.
one of my favorite frequencies. I want that Def Leppard to make you feel like your sternum crack, but I also want to play, some of the old school hip hop where that bottom note drops out and you just feel the whole vibration through your body. So it's music driven. It's definitely music driven,
That's cool.
tone
I
driven, maybe.
agree. I agree.
All right. Hey, so Ronnie, where could people? So say if somebody wants to help out with your students or whatever, how do people get a hold of you? Where can they see TikTok or whatever you're doing? Can you share that with us real quick?
Sure, sure. I don't have a lot of the format set up yet. We do have a few in the process. The Twitter thing we're going to try to do, but we do have an Instagram. Instagram is a School of Thump, just like it sounds. School of Thump on Instagram.
Right
I
behind you.
post up. Yep, there you go. School of Thump. Instagram post updates to show progress of the kids actually working and building on the Power Wheels. Been doing that for a couple of years. We go to shows, sports, things like that. I'm also don't mind throwing an email out there at schoolofthump@gmail.com. Send me a message. Tell me who you are. Connect with me. I'd love to hear your story and maybe we can network. Other than that, that's probably the two primary ways to get on. I'm on Facebook, Ronnie Pruitt on Facebook. Pretty acceptable to friend requests, but just be warned that I will cruise your profile. If I see things that are just out of my personal taste, I may not accept your friend request. Don't take it personal. It's just a preference. I am a school teacher. I'm an educator. I'm a man of some status. So I want to make sure that the people that I interact with, the people that I approve to follow us on Twitter, or not on Twitter, on Instagram, if it's a Cannabis Boy 20, you're not getting the follow. I'm not pulling you on. I'm just saying, no disrespect to cannabis lovers and all that. I love everybody, but not when my students are the focus. But as far as SPL, audio related stuff, you want to hit me up with that, you can find me on Facebook and be my friend. Audiobros.com is not .com. Audio Bros Facebook group is another group that I started a few years ago. And I meet people at shows. Doug, I'm going to send you an invite now, just so you
All
know,
right.
because we've been formally introduced, and we're kind of a kindred spirit brotherhood of some
Yeah.
sort. And it's just that, maybe 300 members on it. It's not a lot of people.
Okay.
Just ask you, have you met me? If you say yes, I'll say, where did you meet me and what did we talk about? If you can't tell me that, you might not get on the page. I get a lot of requests, but if I see you're in the industry and you request, Kip Lipsy put a request in. Yes, sir. Click. How you doing, Kip? Nice to meet you. But that's about it. That's the way you can get a hold of me. And I just want to say thank you for having me on. And Jeffrey, thanks for the invite. This has been a great talk. Great talk. Really appreciate it.
All right, Jeffrey, what you got coming up, son? Tell us about you.
Let's see. So in about a few weeks here, specifically Saturday, April 23rd, we're going to have a DB drag racing competition at Crossfire Car Audio headquarters right there in Grapevine, Texas. If you guys are in the area, come check it out. Come see the loudest vehicles, on this side of Texas. And
A world champion.
you guys, you'll see some world champions.
I'll be there. I'll be there. I'm gonna pull her out. We need some more testing. We need
might
testing,
might even see a Power Wheels happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely work on that. That's
We'll
close.
see.
It's close. I need something in Dallas area near me. I need something near my kids. I need something near my district. The more accessible it is, the better. Sorry, Jeff.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's fine. Maybe of a stereo shop that's willing to allow us host an event.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We just need to get a little
Get
closer.
me in touch. Mm-hmm.
I will.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so that's all you got coming up April 23rd. Once again, I still have the May 16th or whatever it is. We're going to be out doing the Cinco de Mayo thing out in Hollister. Other than that, I'm talking with Brian Nyman. We may have a show in April. Just to kind of have a little 1 month thing going on, because obviously in California here, we got great weather all year round. So the opportunity to have shows is much better here than a lot of places in the country. But yeah, that's all we got going on. Once again, I got bowling tonight. I got to, I wasn't very nice to the old man I was bowling against last week. I shot a 238 average against him, and he didn't like that so much, and he left pretty quickly. So, he didn't even wait for me to finish bowling. He just up and left. So, I'm going to have to go beat up.
Do him like that, Doug.
I know, so I'm going to go in and beat up on another old man tonight.
Well, that's something different about us because I can't bowl to save my life. Period.
uh,
But Kingpin is one of my favorite movies, so
oh, dude,
maybe there.
lots of friends in that movie.
Oh yeah,
Tons of friends
yeah.
that bowled in that movie and
Oh really,
party.
really.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bill Murray just takes the whole show with
Yeah,
that.
he's not my friend though.
Oh no, no,
No,
no Bill Murray
no Bill
connect.
Murray friend. No, but all the bowlers, almost all the bowlers are friends of mine in that thing, and
That's cool, man. That's
I'm
cool.
friends with a lot of the professional bowlers now and whatnot, and so. But anyway, yeah. So I'm gonna go bowling here tonight. Once again, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys like this new time that we're doing, 5:30 California time, the only time that really matters. But
Central? Come
no,
on, Central
Central
get some
doesn't
love.
mean
The Central
nothing.
doesn't get any love.
No, because nobody knows what Central Time is.
It's a 2-1 here.
It's the
We're
math would just
Central.
totally screw people up. California time they know,
I
New
got
York
you.
time they know.
Yeah, I love California time.
I know you do. You got any movies coming up or commercials or anything like that we can catch you in,
You
Jeff?
know what's there? I actually worked on a, commercial here in Texas in Austin
Okay.
a few months back. It's a Indian motorcycle commercial.
Mm.
If you check it out, I think it's on their website. If you I think it's like a minute and a couple seconds into it, you'll see me for like a split second doing a doing a skid on my BMX bike. So I'll be sure to put the link up on here. But
That's
yeah,
cool.
that came out. So check that out.
Uh,
Don't blink because you might miss it.
and I just want to say thank you, Ronnie, for coming in. Dude, it was really great meeting you. I think, like I said, yours and my path are, you know, they're, they're parallel lines in
Yeah,
life right now. It seems to
that's
be.
cool.
So it's great to
Good to
find
know I'm not
somebody.
alone. Good to know I'm not alone,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah.
It's,
I did a lot of bad stuff when I was younger that,
yeah,
we don't bring that stuff up. My kids have no idea about that life of mine. And,
yeah,
so, I'll just say I took my wife to where I did grow up and, she locked the doors, rolled up the windows and said, why the hell are
yeah,
we this part of town? Right.
yeah. Look up
Uh,
Box Springs, Texas. Look up Box Springs, Texas.
yeah,
That's all you need to know.
Box
You'll see.
Springs.
yeah.
You
So,
don't see it. I'm tattooed excessively.
yeah, see,
I'm
I'm not, but
sleeves all the way down.
yeah,
And I've told my students before, if I could change and go back things that I wouldn't have tattooed myself, that I wouldn't have gone down that route. And they're like, why, Mr. Why? And I was like, well, now it's an artistic thing and I like
right.
it and I do express it.
At that
But in
time
my
it wasn't.
younger days, it was not. It's just those 7 words that you hate hearing every time you get pulled over. Could you
Yeah.
step out of the car, please, sir? Every time. And
Yeah.
I mean that today, even today, I'm a professional, I'm an educator, I'm a family man.
Yep.
If I'm over in my neighborhood where my mother lives, and I don't have long sleeves on, I'm getting pulled over and I'm getting pulled out of the car.
Yeah.
But it's that's unfortunate.
So I and like me, where Reginald Denny was pulled out of his truck. Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
literally grew up less than 2 blocks from there. So that gives you an idea of the type of people I was around.
Yeah.
The 9 guys that I hung around with. I was just explaining this to somebody today. The 9 guys I hung around with, one of them still alive, other than me. The rest were killed in gang violence. That was
Yeah.
just the life we were part of, right? So,
Yeah.
but now I've grown past that. I'm doing stuff to help my community. That's why when I volunteer, I truly volunteer. And some of the people I'm around now that grew up in much better circumstances don't understand that I'm giving my time. This is a true volunteer. And they're like, well, what are you getting out of it? And they don't understand that when you volunteer, you get nothing out of it. You're just giving. You get intrinsic stuff out of it, but there's no value in it. There's no value that somebody that hasn't had my life can pull from what I'm doing. So
people that know me, that get to know me, Luke, people, Jeffrey, we know each other semi sort of, but we're getting to know each more each day we get together. I will take on a lot of things, and I've had people ask me why do you take on so many things? You're trying to do the school thing, you're raising a family, we just built a house, you got an audio vehicle thing, you're doing this. Why do you put so much on your plate? And my response has always been because I was the most irresponsible person you knew growing up. I did not take responsibility for anything. So now I do subconsciously, I think, feel like I need to continue to do something positive. I gotta make a difference. I gotta make amends for the days of my past.
Agree.
Which I know I don't know what's gonna happen when this life is over.
Right.
I know what I want to happen when this life is over, and I'm laying myself now on that dependence that it will be. And if it's not, then we're no loss for words, and I'm not an atheist. I do believe that there is a power that we can't understand or explain, and some people call it that, and some people call it this. It's in my heart. It's what I know has to happen, even when I don't like doing it. Even when I don't like doing it, it's what has to be done.
And like you said, for me personally, when something bad happens to me, I know I've done plenty in my life that I deserve whatever it is that came my way. 100%.
Always gets a bite.
Yep. So I mean, that's another thing that people wonder, like, hey, how come you don't get mad about this or that? Dude, I promise you, I've done shit in my life that I deserve this.
Karma.
So it is what it is, and I got to accept what it is, right? So, but once again, guys, I want to thank you for being on. I think we had a great show. It was awesome talking to you, Ronnie, about your kids, especially about the kids. I think that's what this industry needs more of, is we need to get more kids involved, because, we're not going to have installers. We're not going to have new shop owners. We're not going to have new competitors. Not going to have new base heads, not having people putting together cars on all this stuff. So it's freaking awesome that you're a part of this. I really appreciate you being here. Jeffrey, once again, good as always, son. You're doing a good job. I really appreciate what you're doing for me.
My pleasure.
I think you're a huge value to the show. I just want to make sure I let you know that.
Appreciate it.
But with that being said, hey guys, we still have a couple little spots right down below me and right down below Jeffrey there. We got some spots we can add some sponsors to if somebody wanted to sponsor the program. We have those spots available. Other than that, if you want to throw tips towards the judges, hey, we don't take tips as judges, just saying.
No,
we take them as car audio podcast hosts. Just put down podcast or tip in there. Venmo at SonicFX, Cash App at $SonicFX. You can send us those. Once again, we'll be here next week. I'm not sure who at the moment we're going to have. I did ask Scotty Johnson to be on for next week. I just got to confirm and see if he's ready to go. But anyway, we'll be here next week, 5:30 California time. Once again, the only time that matters. If you want to throw those tips, no $100 is too small. So if you want to throw those our way, we're willing to take that, and we split that up between Jeffrey and myself. Once again, guys, thank you for coming in. We appreciate you watching us, and we hope to see you guys again next week on This Week in Car Audio, 5:30 p.m. California time. See you next week.